What's up everyone, Zeratul DT here, and you're watching Remnants of Stars, Rising from Annihilation. These commentaries are intended to kind of give you a feel of what I went through, and the story behind my moon round 158. This is part 2 of 3. If you missed part 1, annotation on screen will direct you there. And for those of you on mobile devices, you can find the link in the description. In the case of you being too lazy to do either of those things, I'll just try my best to catch you up to speed. In the first episode, I discussed my inspiration for my Moon high round game, which ended up being depression. And after that, I talked a little bit about my failed game, which ended up resulting in 20 or so hours just wasted. And if any of that at all interests you, the previous video goes much more in depth, so be sure to check it out. Now, let's cast aside the silliness and jump right in. February 2nd, 2012, round 99, almost 20 hours into this game. It's at around this point that the audio goes out for me. This is usually caused by long games or even sometimes disconnecting from live, like while you're playing the game. And what I mean by this is you lose almost all of the sound effects in the game. For those of you who've been to high rounds might know what I'm talking about. You no longer get warnings for the excavator, or you no longer can play the song on the map. There's not even perk machine jingles. What you're left with is but a few sound effects. One of which is oddly enticing yet rather repulsive. A strange humming sensation exclusive to Moon. It's kinda like vibration. It may seem like nothing, but in the end it's one of these things that drive me towards insanity. When exposed to background noises, especially those from games, I mean, after all, that audio soundtrack is on a loop. Being exposed to such things after such long durations would compel almost anyone to grow a hatred for it. You may think to yourself that such a trifling matter is of no importance, and Zeratul is just crazy. But for my own self-defense, just take into account the time-lapse of the game. It's the same concept of listening to a song too much. You know, you gradually start to dislike it. But at this point in the game, it's nothing really. It's in the end where I develop these feelings the most. I'm slowly progressing, about 2 days into the game. But for the most part, I'm going pretty steady. I'm talking to friends over Xbox Live, just hanging out, trying to pass that time. And even though I'm only 2 days into the game, there's oddly still that lingering thought that I find myself asking, am I really going to continue? Am I really gonna sit here for the next week or who knows how long, maybe even longer than that? But eventually that thought starts to fade and there's no other option but to endure and just keep pushing. One of the most beneficial things I was doing to distract myself was engaging in conversation. Now, when adding conversation to the equation, it used to equal me dying and messing up. But after playing so much, I eventually grew accustomed to it. Some of the most deepest conversations I have ever had were while playing zombies, and not just conversations, but some of the most impactful thoughts and ideas came to me while playing. It's like my mind's absolutely clear and my imagination is at its peak. Developing some of the most memorable moments and building bonds between friends, which I'm not even sure would be possible without this mindset while playing. 3 days into the game, and I find myself in a sort of predicament, which I find very amusing. I'm running out of music. I'm reaching the end of my playlist, and I'm resorting to songs on repeat. Which in turn is kind of bad, because getting so caught up in the game, I forget that the same song is playing over and over and over again, and after 20 or so consecutive repeats, I find myself thinking, what the hell? No, I turn off the music, and I'm stuck with this beautiful sound of zombies dying. In other words, progress. But the game quickly takes a turn for the worse. Something happens which I was fearing up until it was actually executed. Disconnected from Xbox Live. I immediately pause the game and I try to reconnect, but of course, no luck. Reset the router, no luck. I've experienced this in the past, and it happens to me during extremely long games. There's absolutely no way my Xbox is going to connect back to live at this moment. And what sucks is I moved to California from Utah, so the main way I stayed in contact with friends was through Xbox. I felt completely in the dark, severed from the conversations which helps me get past those desolate rounds. I felt marooned. Round 126. I go down, and my mind quickly starts to race. In any other situation in which I might have gone down, I would have instantly told myself, you got this. But that's not the case at all. After playing so long, it's becoming apparent that the thing in which I was trying to get rid of by playing this game was settling in. My depression is worsening by this point. I feel trapped in this game, unable to stop. I'm lacking sleep, I'm dehydrated, I have an unbearable headache, not to mention eye strain and my hands just want to stop. I'm not in a mind state where staying positive will have much effect. I'm having trouble computing what I'm doing. I instantly have a bit of doubt that this could be the end of the game. Almost 50 hours could be gone, just like that. The entire game flashing before my eyes. All my concentration goes on this revive. I can't mess up. I just can't. That's all I know. I go what some would describe as super tryhard. I mean, I watched the video now. It's not much. It seems so much more epic at the time. I was concentrating so hard. I could have swore time slowed down. Or it's the sleep deprivation clearly showing. But things straightened out, and it's back to running in circles. 4, 5, 6 days into the game, I honestly can't even remember. It's all just a blur when I try to think about it. I'm being consumed at this point. The depression has taken me. But in somewhat good news, I didn't have the brain power to think depressing thoughts. Hell, if you would have asked me at the time being, hey, Zeratul, why are you playing? What are you doing? I honestly don't even think I'd be able to answer that. I was striving towards a goal that my past self didn't even know. Now, these rounds are a blank when I try to recall them, so let's fast forward a bit. There's a moment where I'm not even sure if it's because of the sheer emptiness in my mind or the simple desire for human interaction. But I tried to connect to Xbox Live, and who would have thought? It actually works instantly. I'm bombarded with invites and messages. Zeratul, what happened? Are you still playing? And it was sort of a wake-up call. I feel like I just sleepwalked for the past few days and I have no recollection of what's going on. After connecting with friends and all that, I suddenly have this notion to why I'm doing this and am instantly compelled to continue, which, sad enough, didn't last as long as I'd hoped. I haven't really mentioned this to anyone, but deep down inside, I wanted more than anything for this game to just end. Begging in my mind, power, please just go out. Xbox, please just overheat. You've been alive way too long. Just die already. But in no way was I going to do these things myself. I'm just too loyal to this. All I have left is acting on impulse and continuing this never-ending game. The last round on 158, I was talking to someone who I don't talk to enough. We rarely speak nowadays, but her name is Amber. And Amber, if you're watching this, I just want to say thank you. If it wasn't for you, I don't think round 158 would have been possible. I was so engaged in conversation that when the game had ended, it seriously took about 10 seconds before I had realized what happened. it was at this moment I felt so relieved and even happy that the game had ended. 91 hours of gameplay stretched over about a week period, and it's over. I remember getting up and just feeling so dizzy, and my hands were tingling to an extent in which I could hardly control them. But overall, it was worth it. After all of that, I finally felt accomplished and content. I hope you guys enjoyed that commentary. I really and truly do. It's not the easiest thing to post something like this. I don't even know if this will be taken seriously, but I just wanted to share this experience with you guys. If it wasn't for each and every single one of you, I wouldn't be here making videos doing something I enjoy. You guys are what makes this possible, and if you do me a solid and like the video, or even better, share it, because that's the best way you guys can help me out and contribute. If you have any questions about this game or anything at all, please leave a comment. I'll do my best to address it in the final part of the series, which will also include my the strategy that I use, some of it, some tricks and tips, stuff like that. But I just want to say right now, guys, I love all of you, and I really do hope you enjoyed this. ZeratulDT signing out. See you guys next time.